So what I want to know is, will there be a season 2? And if so, when? I'm talking about the upcoming Netflix live-action anime adaptation, Parasyte. It's called Parasyte the Grey. It's not a direct adaptation of the original anime, but it's like a spinoff, so it's connected with it. The only thing that was confusing to me at first was I assumed it was a Japanese production, but it's totally not. It's South Korean, so that's a non-issue. It's just something I wanted to point out. I had mistakenly thought it came from one country, but it came from a different one. I remember watching the Parasyte anime several years ago with Arturo. We used to watch Toonami together. There would be certain shows that I'd be interested in, and that was one of them. I thought I'd seen the whole thing. He said I didn't. He's probably correct. So now, after having seen this, I want to go back and I want to watch the original story. And I understand there is a live-action adaptation of, I believe, the original anime, and that one did come from Japan. So the premise of Parasyte is there's these alien parasites that have fallen to Earth, and they have pretty much one objective, and that is to take over a human, take over their brain, and control them and basically take over. So think Invasion of the Body Snatchers. It's pretty much the same premise. These people get infected by these parasites. The parasites take complete control, and they have schemes and plans. They're not just bloodthirsty creatures just going around slashing and hacking all the time, though there's plenty of that. They have a goal beyond just taking over a human. And if you couldn't tell by my intro, I really enjoyed this show. Now, live-action adaptations of various anime, they don't always go well. The live-action version of Attack on Titan was not very good. The live-action version of Full Metal Alchemist, not so great. It's not the worst, but it wasn't wonderful. The live-action adaptation of Death Note, I'm not talking about the Netflix one, the one from Japan, that was actually pretty decent. So there are some that can do a decent enough job. I went into this with a bit of skepticism. I was interested because I liked the original story. Something that I did not expect was how much I was going to like it. I figured I would, but I also figured it would be, I personally loved it. I do have some cons, but overall, I was very happy with how the story wrapped up, and it does wrap up. I'm not sure if there really is going to be a season 2, honestly. You could just take it as just a standalone thing, but at the same time, I don't know. Maybe there could be. I wouldn't mind it, especially because of a cool little cameo appearance at the very, very end by a particular character. So in this story, there is a young woman who ends up getting partially infected by a parasite, very similar to the story in the original anime, because typically they take over the whole human. Well, in this particular case, it didn't happen. At first, I had written down as a con, why did it not happen? They didn't explain this. I'm kind of frustrated. We need answers. Well, that's not a con anymore because they do completely explain what the deal was. And so, okay, makes sense. Something that I liked about this show was that there were multiple times that an unexpected occurrence happened. I thought I could predict how it was going to go, and it would go completely the opposite way. I like that. And something that I also liked was the camera work that happened during some of the fight scenes and some of the chase scenes. And I did specifically mention in a live stream I had last night that I don't really like handheld shaky cam type of stuff, but sometimes it works. And there were moments during these chase scenes and during the fights that the handheld frantic action of it really helped to amp up the situation and the tension and all of that stuff. I wrote that down as a pro. Camera work during chase scene. I didn't mind that shaky action. Well, also because it didn't go on for the entire show, so that helped. I have probably a longer list of cons on paper, but it really is only because there were moments here and there where there were convenient occurrences that happened. Obviously, the plot needed to go in this direction. That's fine. I don't mind that the plot went in that direction, but there were times where the way they got the plot there was weak. to me. Also, times where I felt that there were some inconsistencies, like why was there a special weapon used in one instance to kill one of these parasites when regular weaponry can kill them anyway. That might have been something that I just missed. It also might have been something that wasn't completely or fully translated in the subtitles. So I don't know, so take some of these complaints with a grain of salt. Maybe a second rewatch will refresh my memory. I took a few days to watch it. I did try to speed along pretty quickly because as of the recording of this, it's Wednesday, April 3rd, and this show is going to go live on Friday, April 5th. I'm going to be going out of town that day. I'm going to try to edit this and get it up in time, but I don't know. Anyway, the point of what I was trying to say is, though I did spread it out a tad, I didn't take a long time to watch this. So I think my memory was fresh on everything, but there might have been times that maybe I forgot something because I was getting sleepy at the time I was watching that particular episode. Whatever. Some of the issues that I wrote down that had to do specifically with some of the situations as they were written. Inconsistent things like there's a character that is told a particular person wants to speak with them. This character is brought to that location and the person that wanted to speak to them never speaks to them. Why? Okay, I understand this character needed to be brought to this location. That was the whole point. But if they're brought there, this conversation that was supposed to happen probably should have happened, and it didn't. Anyway, that's minor. Another thing, like I mentioned, convenient occurrences. Conveniently, an item was dropped at a scene. Of course. How in the world this item was dropped at a scene when it was supposed to be fairly well secured inside an article of clothing? Okay, well, stuff like that. Another one. They go into a location. It's a defunct area. It had been a facility not used anymore, totally abandoned, yet the electricity still works. Then there was also another instance where something was figured out a bit too conveniently. Some characters are trying to hash out what's going on, what's this fundamental plan that's happening, and they very quickly figure it out. That felt a bit too convenient too. Little things like that. It was enough to make me notice them and write them down, but in all honesty, you guys, it was not enough to ruin this show for me. I wouldn't mind rewatching it, like with Arturo, if he's interested, because he did like the anime. I really enjoyed the last episode, specifically some of the moments of dialogue and interactions with the characters as things are revealed, and the character arcs that some of them take. There is a policewoman character. She could be a bit frustrating at times. You understood her motivations for what she was doing, but then it felt like there were times where she was just being a bit too hard-headed. But then on the flip side, you can completely understand actually why she has so much resistance to being confronted with something that challenges her previously held beliefs about a thing. And so I really liked how her arc went in conjunction with the arc of the main character. I can't remember her name. I don't remember her name. But anyway, they have a few moments together, and I especially liked one of the events that happens in a scene during their last moments together on screen. I thought that was very well done. I thought it was pretty touching. Certain moments in here, the acting was really good. There were very slight moments of humor, but in general, this was not anything goofy or comedic, really. Like I said, only slightly. And it was a lot of fun. I have a feeling that fans of the anime will probably really enjoy it, but who knows? I guess we'll find out when this goes live in a couple days. I hope you guys enjoy it, because if there's a possibility that there could be a season 2, I would absolutely love that. I don't know exactly where it would go because, like I said, this story can be its own encapsulated little moment. We don't necessarily need a second season, but I wouldn't mind at all returning to these characters and this situation, this environment, and what's happening. But whatever. It's nice that we have the 6 episodes that we do have. I'm very happy with how the story went. I really appreciated how everything wrapped itself up, and the cameo at the end was like the icing on the cake. So that's all the things I can think to say about Parasyte. If you guys get a chance to watch it, let me know what you think, how you think it compared to the anime. Don't compare it story-wise because it's two completely different stories. Something I forgot to mention, the visual effects, probably not the absolute strongest, but it wasn't enough to really detract from the overall viewing experience. It didn't really take me out of the moment or anything like that. I was very forgiving of any sort of issues that maybe I was okay, that's very obviously this fake appendage coming out of their head or whatever, but it didn't matter because it was sufficient enough. I really didn't have much of an issue with it. So I completely forgot to mention that because I didn't write it down. Now I am wrapping it up. Let me know what you guys think about it if you take the time to check it out, and especially if you are a fan of the original show. I do want to go back now and try to finish that, rewatch it, but I have a lot of shows on my plate. Anyway, that's it for this one, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. Hasta luego.